person within a certain number of feet of the premises. So anyone who is not doing that would not be out of compliance with this law.
Okay, now, thank you. Ms. Anderson and Mr. Ferranda, you're on board.
Thank you. My name is Judith Anderson of Croton-on-Hudson, and I have spoken before you at the Board of Legislators meetings many times in the Citizens to be Heard portion, and also for the Women's Equality Day Reform Ceremony, where I'm a co-chairperson. This year is our 10th anniversary year, celebrating women's voting rights. I'm also a co-director of the Hudson Valley Coalition for Life, and I'm a typical senior citizen participant in Yonkers and White Plains prayer witness in front of health clinic abortuaries. We are not standing at every health clinic that serves women. We are witnessing that in these particular places, women are not being served well or being fully informed before or receiving needed post-abortion counseling. And most importantly, a human life is being violently and gruesomely destroyed feet from where we are legally standing. I am not sure what your perception is of what we do or why we do it, but some of us stand with signs to draw attention to facts. Some sidewalk counsel to educate and offer healing through referrals. Some, like me, pray or stand in silent witness simply to give dignity to a child's life that has been lived ever so briefly and lost, not accidentally, but intentionally. We are there as we would be when attending a wake or a funeral. This was a human life at its earliest and most developmentally active stages. There is no question about that. Biology and science tells us that.
Can you address the issue about the legislation rather than the,
I will.
The biology? We're not here really to
Okay. I just wanted to kind of share who we are and what we're doing. We value that child, and so we pray for him or her. As for the mother and the father and our society that is poorer because of this unrealized potential. This is not about abstractions, but real people. And 3 quick points. 1, there is no need for this law. Clinic access has not been prevented. And to Ms. Meyer's points, I think Mr. Murtaugh spoke about the unnecessary need for laws that are already on the books. 2, life speech is a benefit to women, men, and society. Wherever you stand on the issue, we must all be in touch with the reality of events happening here. We need to be informed and informed often, and we must never forget what is happening when an abortion takes place. 3, board members, this board members are needlessly inviting litigation and fines paid for by taxpayers because of pressure by some who have supported them. If there is no need for this law, then the board is willingly allowing itself to be used as a hammer to silence pro-life speech. This is not subtle opposition to a point of view. It is a misuse of government and the law. I mentioned Women's Equality Day reformed. The county lost a judgment brought against them and paid $10,000 as a result. And I have copies of the articles and the editorials at that time, 10 years ago. Why were we almost not allowed access to these offices? 1 hour per year, and all board members are invited this year, August 12th, to Women's Equality Day reform. Some of you have been there. In 10 years, we have proven why that $10,000 judgment against you was right. That action you took was wrong. The Journal News editorial said what it said for a reason, and this law is unnecessary and wrong as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions from Ms. Anderson?
I do have copies of my statement and
we'll be happy to take
the articles from the Journal News, and also each of you a copy of our LifeNet. This is the Hudson Valley Coalition for Life newsletter, and again, it will give you a flavor of what we say to our members, especially those who come to clinic. Thank you.
Those are 2 questions. One from Mr. Ryan.
I just have a question. I'm just curious. the copy of the legislation, which I'm sure you've gone through and time again, the second page of the committee report, which is the first document that one runs into as they're reviewing what's proposed. The second page of that, after I guess it's a very lengthy final paragraph that really closes out the page. Has your organization looked at that? I mean, that really is the core here. Have you looked at that, and have you put down any writing that maybe you've shared with the committee, which I have not seen, but anything that addresses what part of the report and what part is in the legislation that your organization might have a problem with, just generally?
I would say, speaking for myself, I'm not a lawyer or someone who would read a report with that goal in mind. But
yeah.
Mr. Ferranda will speak to a lot of these issues better than myself, and I think I'm here really simply as a witness, a prayer witness in front of the clinic.
Okay.
And again, as far as the organization, we are not only printed newsletter, but we are online as well. And we, as we always do, we invite the board to go to our website and follow any issue there.
Fair enough. And your restatement that you're a prayer witness, I understand that. And I think probably, maybe not to you, but more appropriately, maybe I should have addressed the question to the Westchester Putnam Right to Life Party. It would have been interesting, though, if they had actually taken this and looked at it and come up with a written analysis as to what exactly here in the lay presentation
Right.
of the of the statute, what here they might have a problem with.
Well, I think to your
but that's
point,
but that's not to you.
right, but
Okay.
to your point, I would say too, it is not as if there is one central disseminating piece of information. As Alan said, it's grassroots. We have individual organizations, individual groups, individual churches, individual faiths, and people of no faith who come with us. So it's
Okay. No, but-
very American.
Yeah, no, fair enough. As the chairman of the committee was trying to do, the focus really is on the legislation that's proposed.
Right.
And as the groups appear, we're aware of the overall debate that has raged for decades. But what we're looking at today is what's on the table. And the most helpful thing to us is if groups would come in and kind of really focus, fine-tune their remarks in a way where they can address what it is about this legislation and the lay restatement, the lay statement of what the statute states in the committee report, what it is about that the organizations, one by one, individually, have a problem with.
Well, I do think Mr. Murtaugh handled very well some of our overarching concerns, and I think Mr. Ferranda next will hopefully address some more of your questions.
Okay, because that I think is the most valuable thing to the committee.
All right.
Mr. Berg? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you go, Ms. Anderson.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Mr. Melba spoke earlier, and I asked him a question as to whether his organization was an overarching group, and he said, no, it's we represent some people, but there are others. And are you in the others category?
Yes.
Or are you part of his coalition?
We interact from time to time at events or, participating with one another at each other's events, but we're separate entities.
As far as the location of your witness, is it consistent with what he showed in the slides? That is
Yes.
to say, you tend to pull off toward the street side of
Yes.
the sidewalk where possible.
Yes, and we've been told that if we're marching, that we have to keep moving, in White Plains anyway. In the Yonkers, we were standing stationary against the building with access for people passing by. So
and
again,
that's the policy of your organization. That you're not just following what the police tell you, but that's the policy of your organization.
I don't understand what
Well,
you mean.
staying to the periphery of the pavement, off on the street side.
Well, we're all familiar with face laws, and we know that access to an abortion and access to a clinic that gives abortions is legal. So we are aware that we have to be in a position that it does not interfere with that, which is why this law seems so redundant.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you.